Hello everyone, George here, and I'm back in my implementation, my personal implementation of Five Nights at Freddy's inside of Maya, Substance Painter, ZBrush, Unity, and so forth and so on. Anyway, if you happen to watch my other series titled Something Different, you know I went ahead and made some HVAC components, and I plan on reusing these inside of Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, I've already gone ahead in that series and exported these out as HVAC objects, and if we take a look at their UVs, we'll also notice that they're all set up properly, so everything's good. I'll put links down in the description below for actually how to get to those videos in case you want to know how I set these up. But the idea is for us to bring these in and create something that looks kind of interesting and good. So let's just double check things really quick. We're going to go to our, let's see, make sure these names are good, nothing wrong with those. Let's go to File, Open Scene. Now let's go to the main scene, which is going to be, it looks like Rough Floor Layout 08. There we are. And here we are. Perfect. Now looking in Unity, we can see we've got the walls done, several other components as well. But what we are really lacking are the speakers, the spider web, and so forth and so on, all the different elements that we should really be bringing to the table. So let's try to resolve some of these things. Now there's no HVAC system right here. I just wanted to bring that in and get it ready so you know kind of where one project lined up with the other, because I probably am going to put it outside of this area here as well as outside this area here. So it's not a mystery as to where it came from. Now why don't we work on the speaker and the cobweb? Why not? That's something I can probably do in one video. So going back over to Maya real quick, framing up, zooming on in, let's click on this guy, go to UVs, UV editor, take a look at the UVs, not so much fun, UV shell, grab this one, let's grow it to its maximum extent, so and it looks like we have stuff going on inside of it actually, so let's zoom around and come back. Oh, yeah, that's not good. The entire back side is still in this, and it's completely unnecessary. So why don't we go to face, grab these elements here, and then ungrab them there, and everywhere else, and over here probably. And you know what we want to do? We're going to go change our selection method by going to Window and Settings, Preferences, going down to Selection, and choosing Center, Save. And now I have to select the center point of these. So I'm going to grab all of this now. Actually, let's go to X-ray mode. That's going to be a lot easier. X-ray. And let's do a right-click grow selection. Now shrink. And nope. I need to grow again. So let's do another grow. And grow again, and now we'll shrink. Let's go to shrink. Ah, I went to the inside, darn it. All right, so we're gonna unselect. Ugh, it's hard to see. Shading, X-ray, there we go. All right, so that's unselected. That's not. Now we're gonna shrink. So shrink selection, shrink, G, and now we should just have the components that are actually inside this thing. And we'll hit delete on those. Great. And we want to do the same thing for this bottom segment. So I'm actually going to make this easier now. We're going to do a grow from here and hit delete. And now we don't have all that excess polygon information that really does nothing for us. So we're going to grab all of you. We're going to grab all of you. Where are you both? Right there. Shift right click. Let's go to UV shell. Move you out of the way. Back to UV shell. Move you down someplace. So that's both of you, but you're missing your sides for some reason. Yep, the sides have been cut off. So let's grab both of you, UVs, and let's go to planar. We're going to come at this from the best plane possible, and that's close enough. Sure, why not? And now we're going to grab both of you, and we're going to unfold you. Great, a little bit different, not much. Grab you both, rotate you 90 degrees, something like that. Grab you again, let's do orient. There we are. And we're done there, save. Now we just need the actual box itself. So will you ever see that? Well, you might, because a person could stick their head through the desk and come around to the back side. So we got to worry about that kind of stuff. But we don't have to worry about too much. So it was interesting. I was in this talk the other day with these so-called VR experts. And the biggest things they had to say were, oh, when you're dealing with VR, unlike traditional games, you have to worry about the fact that people might be able to see the mistakes you make because they might look around to the other side. And I'm thinking to myself, seriously, that's the big difference for you? It has nothing to do with the sickness, the nausea, the other problems that actually have something to do with VR. It's just, oh no, they might look at the other side. You know, that's the easiest thing in the world to fix. You just model the thing all the way out. Anyway, just things that I noticed that I get really annoyed at. Let's go over, and I'm going to come at this from what side? Can we see? It's looking like it's coming mostly towards the Z-axis, so we're going to hit Apply Z-axis and move this out of the way. Now, I'm not saying I know everything about anything, because I don't. But, you know, in some cases, it's just, what kind of people are you putting on a panel to talk about VR? I mean, this was for a bunch of people who did not know what VR was. And when you're telling people about a technology, and not a new technology, which is another thing they got wrong, because VR has been around forever. It's just a new technology for consumers to have access to in their homes, to the extent that it's available now with the high frame rate. Because even then, I mean, years ago, when I was in freaking grad school, which is like 10 years ago, I had access to VR at home through NVIDIA's VR stuff. So, you know, it's just, VR has been around for what, 40 years at least, 40, 50. I mean, if you go back to the early 1900s, you'll find versions of stereoscopic glasses. And I'm sure people knew and understood that stuff even before then in some way. Anyway, this is called the George rant because he's in the middle of doing UV unwrapping, and UV unwrapping is less than fun. Although it's gotten a lot better than it has been in the past. So, right, let's see, F8 on that. Let's go to UV and shell mode. This, I've got U. We are going to UV U, planar U. If I hit best, what does best give me? Best doesn't give me much, but I can work with it. So let's do, where's the line? There it is. Nope. Where is the line? I need the rotation line. Should be around one of these guys. You there? No. There. You, and you get rotated about that much, somewhere around there. And there we go. Perfect-ish. What I want to do now is cut these segments off the sides so that we have something to work with. Now I've made, actually, it's not a problem. I actually did something good for a change. So we're going to cut into this part. So anyway, VR, right? It's been around forever. Nothing new. Multiple versions of it. Usually it was more expensive in the past. Still made people nauseated in the past as it does today. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. People think that you have to have these different skills for VR as well. And while you do need to have an idea of what will and will not affect the person, and if you want to take it beyond simple visualization, you do need to know some things. If you want to take it into the auditory area, if you want to take it into smell, if you texture, all that kind of stuff, you do need to know some stuff. Yes, you need to know more. But a lot of that stuff is covered in basic computer graphic theory. You can, I mean, why do you think people are jumping straight into Unity making VR stuff right off from nowhere? It's because it's the same damn stuff as before. There's no real difference. And let's go ahead and do an orient on this. That's so not what I wanted. Let's try to orient that again. I would actually like to cut this up even more, I think, and break these down. So let's see what my tools, image, and view distortion is. So you can see the distortion going on right there. I think I'm just going to cut both up. It just probably makes more sense rather than trying to figure out which one's the right one to do both. So that's going to relieve tension, I think, in both areas. So you, and coming back around to the other gosh, you, and right click. And I said gosh because I was about to say guys, and there's really no reason to say guys because this is a non-gender object. Ew. That's gross. That is really gross. But did it straighten things? No. You can see it worked there. I think I just messed up a couple parts. So let's undo here and there. Take another look real quick. And you know what I'm going to do? We're going to see that triangle is actually causing me some problems, isn't it? Let's work with the triangle on the insides and see if we can't make it work for us. So you are there and you are there. So you are there. Shift right click, cut. And remember, if it works, it doesn't matter. Let's unfold the whole thing. Or do I got to cut it still? I thought I cut it. All right. So shell, unfold. And that broke up a bit better. Did these get any better? No, look at the top. All right. When in doubt, rip it out. So let's grab the top, the sides, the other sides, and this one. And I'm just going to shift right click. We're going to create UV shells for all of them. Shift right click, unfold. I'm going to grab everything actually as a UV shell now. We're going to unfold everything. And now they should be set up pretty good. So shift right click, let's go to orient, and there we go. This is still a little jaggedy, but that's fine. And that should be the entirety of this thing. What is this? So I hit, oh, that's that? Seriously? Oh, wait, what? Frame up. It's really that piece? Okay. And that's a part. And where's the other part of this? You're not combined. You're separate? Ooh. All right, let's consult each other for a second here. Let's go to the big world of objects. So you are an object, and those are your components. So you should have nothing to do with anyone else. Now let's go to UV, object mode, you, and can I grow the selection? Grow, yes. Grow, 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 grow. And let's go to UV, planar, great, shift right click, and unfold both. And that should work out just fine. And let's just, I don't know, rotate it for some reason, grab them all. Let's orient everyone as well. And let's grab them all again. Shift rotate and go to layout and lay everyone out as UVs. And now we have things distributed properly. So let's go ahead and make this work. I'm going to edit delete by type history for a second there. Save that. And let's just review what we have because we do have extra space. We, of course, have some stress and strain problems or the deformation problems in the centers here. You can see from the red, but it's not terribly severe, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's go ahead and go to turn off distortion so it doesn't mess with my brain. Save that. Now this spider web doesn't have much going on for it. So let's take a look at it in the UV editor. You can see it's just a square. There's no reason for it to be a square. So let's go to planar and best plane, hit apply, close, just take another look at that really fast. That looks good to me. And save it. We might be able to, we could probably put these guys together, but then that means this one will be an alpha. And I don't want to have an alpha with an alpha. So let's get rid of that, delete by type, history, blah, 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 blah. And I need to do that again because I missed the other one. So now let's grab both. And are you named anything proper? Yes. Okay, so file, export selected. No, materials, right? You don't have good materials on you. So let's go over here to my attribute editor. You got a Fong 1 and you've got a Fong 1. So click on you, right click, and go to new material and Fong web. Or actually security room underscore web underscore M. Copy that and let's go to this now and right click new material Fong and security room speaker. That's what I'm assuming it is. I don't know if it actually is one. Let's grab both, save it, file, export selected, and bring it over into Substance Painter. So up, and SP, yes, FBX, and speaker. Speaker web. All right. Coming back into Substance Painter, continue anyway, ignore that, that doesn't matter. All right, so now let's begin. In that short interim period, I actually had to upgrade Substance Painter to the latest version and deal with some licensing issues. But anyway, let's go ahead and go to File, let's go to New, and bring in this. So we're going to go to, let's see, PBR, Roughness Metallic, and let's go to, not Project Phoenix, that's a different project, SP, FBX, and Speaker Web. And let's do 2048. All right, so those are our two materials over here. So everything's fine, and as well as the speaker itself. So no issues there. We do have some normals right there, but I don't think it's going to be a problem for us. Going to our materials now, let's just see if we have something easy that we can throw on this. So here's plastic grainy. And, you know, if we increase that UV scale, maybe to 4, that might be enough for at least the body of this object. Maybe 6? Yeah, you know what? We're going to go with that for the body of the object. Now, for the actual inner area, that should be smooth. So let's add a plastic mat to this object. And on that, we're going to go to what? Height. And let's do replace and normal and also replace. Now we want to change this color to something gray, something like that, for instance. And we're only going to have the inner area of that be gray. So let's go ahead and do a selection. So let's actually, you know what? I should probably turn this off, turn this on, go to UV projections, try planar, just to make sure we're okay. And go to this one, go to black mask, and under the black mask, we're going to add all these components right here. So let's start doing that. So I want to go to this and go to white, and I want to select all of these elements right here. You cannot paint on a disabled layer. Let's turn it on then, and select all of you. And it selected all of that, and it probably selected the back as well, which is not what we want. We don't want that part to be it. So we're going to go back to the dark area, put that back in, and that's good. And we're still not getting what I want. So let's see what's happening here. So it's probably that we don't have a normal or a height map. Now we do. And I do want to change. So under plastic grainy, I'm going to make this, let's see, I guess slightly lighter than ever. No, let's make it very dark, very dark. Now this one, I'm going to make a little bit lighter. And let's see, roughness. There should be no roughness associated with this object. Whoa. Nope. That's, now I can see my error. So we do not want this to have anything to do at all with, let's see, black. This part. Yeah, that's better. Okay, we only want it to have something to do with these elements right here. Now that being said, we're going to crank the roughness up to 100% because we actually don't want it to have any kind of reflection. Let's see, metallic is 0 for this. Height is nothing. I mean, height doesn't really matter in this case. We can make it slightly positive if we want to. It actually makes more sense to make it somewhat negative. So we'll do that. And we need this outer area to have something going on. And that needs to be, I think, a silver color. So let's go to, we have irons. We have aluminum. Aluminum would be probably a good one. Let's put that right there, I think. And once again, we're going to go to height, replace, and normal. Replace, grab it, make sure there's a normal and a height map on that thing, and go back to base. And now that we have that, we can start playing around a little bit. So we only want this outer grill area to have something that we can work with. So let's go ahead and put black on there, zoom out a little bit, and grab what? We're going to grab all of these elements that are wrapped around. Now, if this was Maya, I'd do a quick selection, but I can't really do that easily in this case. Although, you know, actually, what might be easier for me to do, whoops, is something like that, something comparable. So let's undo all that. So there's everything I've got going on. Let's go to right click, let's do a white mask. Let's get rid of all the white stuff. So let's go ahead and do, let's go to black, click on this. We're going to get rid of you. We're going to get rid of all of you. And we need to get rid of the corners as well. So those corners are gone, those corners, the bottoms as well. And we're going to get rid of the stuff inside. So all of that and all of that as well. And now we just have those parts. Let's see. So what are we dealing with now? Let's get out of this mode. Now I know I have something going on right here. You can see it right there with one of the paint layers. So let's see which layer it is. It's not that layer. Not that layer. Not that layer. It is that layer. Let's delete that layer. Now that's good. I'm going to save this and let's go to, let's see, wrong project. So we need to go back under speed. Let's go to YouTube, reproduce it, FNAF, and SP. Saves and make this speaker underscore webs. Enter. Now why I did that is because I'm going to come back under here and I'm going to smooth some things out. So I want to specifically smooth out all of this part and this. So I'm going to do some grows. Let's grow this all the way out. And let's go to, let's see, display and soft edge. Save, W, Q, whatever. Grab both now. Grab both. Go to File, Export Selection, and take that to, let's see, FNAF, SP, FBX exports, and we want come back over here, go to Edit, Project, Config, select the same project over again with things slightly different, and now you can see how that looks a lot better than before. I mean, this is what it looks like in a perfect world, not in an imperfect world, which we're going to introduce very shortly. I'm going to take that metallic and take that down quite a bit. I'm going to increase roughness a little bit. I only want a little bit of reflection, not too much. And that should be enough. And that I'm going to bring down slightly and make it a little bit blue. All right. Now let's dingify it. So we need to do something about that. Let's do rust coarse on this one and reduce that down into a darker tone, more brown, I should say, than anything. Somewhere around there. There we go. And what we're going to do is just make it seem like things streaked on it. Long time of wear. Maybe someone spilled a soda over several hundred times and things didn't quite work out the way they should. So let's throw a ground dirt on top of it first. And we don't have a whole lot going on. Let's click this. I'm going to go to Trilinear Planar first. And still that looks bad. So let's go over to Rust Coarse and see what we're dealing with. Oh, I didn't bake anything. That's why it doesn't have any information. So what we need to do now is actually just, so those are our texture settings. Let me put them where they belong, which is right there, and bake. We're going to make them 1024. Yep. And bake them all. All right. So that provided something that looks like maybe it's been too long on the floor. I don't particularly love it. So maybe we should reduce it a little bit. Let's see, maybe let's go out and come back in. There we go. So the height we're going to keep low. Let's see, the levels we'll keep low as well. So just down there at the bottom. if you've ever had a computer in a basement, this is actually pretty much what it looks like. And we need something that goes on the top, so I'm going to take the same layer, duplicate it. But what I am going to do is make a layer of dust. So what I want to do is get rid of the masks, go to the rust color, and actually make that bright. Now let's delete the actual mask really quick, so we can see the color we're going to get on the top. Still a little bit too orange. Let's go and make this a little bit more dust-like. So somewhere grayish, I guess, something like that. I can go with that. And let's jump back in now and add that mask layer. And let's see if any of our smart masks are going to help us out here. So we can try a moss from the top. And that's what it's going to do. That's way over. That's too much. And we've got edge rust. I just want dust. What about dust dirty? That adds a light amount of dust, but let's see. Let's go in here, see if we can't fix that a bit, because I'm not in love with it. Balance. So balance. So we got a little bit of dust going on. Definitely blur it if we're going to do anything like this. Increase the contrast slightly. Let's see, texture 1 or texture 2. What's the other texture like? I like the other texture better on the grooves. Ambient occlusion. Curvature, just a little bit. World space normal. I'm not loving the color. That's the problem. And it's affecting everything going on right now. The brightness of it just looks out of place. So we'll go back to here and edit it now. So let's go to maybe something else. You know what, let's just play around. Maybe somewhere there. Click on it, and now do a moss from above on top of it. And significantly reduce that. I'm going to reducing the grunge makes it a little bit better. Kind of just a flat color on the top. Still don't love it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because really, let's do this and see if we can't. Yeah, that's better. I like that better. I don't want it coming down the sides as much on the flat sides, because technically it should just fall to the floor at that point. Although I do want it affecting these elements a lot more. Especially this one right here. I don't know why it's not doing anything on that one. Let's add a paint layer to this. And check out some of the grunge stuff. Apparently in this new package they added, they put in a bunch of new grunge maps. So let's see what we got going on. There's rough. Let's go to paint. We have paint. And what is our size? Our size is pretty low. What do we get if we start just nothing good? Okay, never mind. That was bad. Let's do spacing out. Let's do opacity very high. And our flow would also be very high. But let's pick something like this. That still looks like junk. And the last thing I did was I added this paint object to it, and I tried to paint in some detail, and it just failed absolutely miserably. In addition to that, if we look at the rim on this, we've got way too much going on there. So actually, you know what? Let me undo removing the paint object. And I think I'm going to end up using this, but instead of gray, I want black. And I took a little bit of time and I read some information on how to use Grunge Maps properly. So we're going to be doing that shortly. So let's get rid of this right there. There we are. And this is way too contrasted against what's going on with the rest of it. So let's make that less so. So let's go to Aluminum Pure, the actual thing, and let's go to base color And I'm going to bring this down quite a bit. That's so much better than what we had going on before. It's still separate, still different, still interesting, but nowhere near as bright as before. So the grunge maps have to deal with when you have a grunge texture. And typically that's going to pop up on things like, here you go, the alpha map stuff. So there's grunge, and we can do a use custom grunge right there on, and then we can, assign it to be whatever we want to. Now, I'm less concerned now about the speaker box, although, what's that? I guess that's where I screwed up a little bit. So let's go back to paint and unpaint that bit right there. And you know what? Let's go to, let's see, F3. Let's fill my entire screen with this so I can really get a good sense. Now, this side here, this should not have any kind of texture at all. So I've got to figure that one out. So let's see. That's this one right here. Now that has normal, metallic, and all the other good stuff as well. Now if I got rid of that and that, I'm still down to that, which means this has no presence anywhere within my my scene. So come on, normal map, alpha, whatever. You need to be right here. So let's go to click and boop. Is this not going to work? Really? Okay. White. All of these and all of these. Now we get rid of the largest parts, which is this and this. And the back side of anything as well, which is all of this potentially. And what we should arrive at is a very clean, very clean image right here. Now, let's see. Rust, of course, is not giving me something good. So let's right click, go to paint. There should not be any of that nonsense inside of the speaker part right here. So let's go down and go to, something like that. And just start painting out the things we don't think that should be in there. Like that. That's good. And this as well. I'm going to leave that kind of bit of rust. I'm going to reduce it a little bit. I'm going to leave that right there. It's just kind of a nice thing. It's almost as if someone scraped against it and the humidity in the environment caused that to happen. Now, if we go over here to, let's see, what is it? Rust coarse copy. I don't really want this to be impacting the spider web or be impacted by the spider web. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get rid of that. That doesn't make any sense because the spider web is temporary. At best, it might be there for a day, maybe two if you're using your computer. I don't know about you, but I typically put my feet up on the base, so that will go away very fast. Now we need a spider web to put on here. Now if we go under the grunge maps, let's take a look here first and see if we have a web. We do not. Okay, so let's go under Google and look up a web. And that's a good web. Is it disconnected? No, for the most part, it's not. That's pretty good. Although, remember, this whole thing needs to be rotated, 90 degrees on its side. So maybe we should open up Photoshop and start working with things there. So let's go to Adobe Photoshop. Sorry, this is Grunge Maps, the information there. That's where I read how I can use them properly. So let's go ahead and close that. Did I close the wrong tab? There we go, spider webs. That's what I want. So looking back over here, I've gone in and I've looked at images larger than 2 megapixels. And I'm showing them only black and white images because that's going to make it easier for me to work with. So there's this picture right here, which I had apparently selected earlier. But it's deflated. It's kind of falling in one direction, which is exactly not what I want. Because if I'm putting this on the side of an object, it needs to be vertical rather than horizontal. That's all right, but not great. You know, I kind of really like that, actually. It's under Wikipedia, which is good for me. Let's grab that, actually. File, new, whoops. New, Adobe Photoshop should remember my settings, Control V, there it is. Let's go ahead and scale this down a bit. There we are, and down a bit on that side. We're going to have to adjust the UVs later on inside the actual image. Let's go to image size. We're going to stretch this out a bit, make these the same value, unlock them so that they will be non-uniformly stretched. That's fine. And actually, we want to do this probably up here as well and down here as well. Enter. So image size, and we'll take the bigger of the two and go there. There we are. Okay, now we got a little bit of a problem right here. See how bright that is? But can I duplicate this some way? Can I mirror this? I mean, it's a mess, an absolute mess to deal with. I'm wondering if Photoshop's automatic spot heal tools will actually handle this for me. We're gonna cross our fingers on this one because I think this is too complicated. Wow, actually that looks better. It looks like it's been broken up as if something went through it, like maybe our foot or something else inside of the area. So we're gonna get rid of a few of these elements here. Yeah, I actually like this better. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and use the this tool. I'm gonna hit Control L really quick. We're going to adjust the levels. To make some very full cobwebs against the black darkness. Now the next thing I want to do is click it and go to, let's see, Filter, Blur, and let's go with Gaussian Blur. And we're going to zoom in a little bit here so I can see what's going on. So what I'm after here is creating a nice gradient from black to white. The reason for that is because I'm going to bring this into some height map software and use that to indicate that things are bumping out from the surface. This is going to become my height map for it. Okay, so let's go to image size now, and they're the same, but I want this to be a power of 2. Even though you don't need powers of 2 anymore when you're dealing with computer graphics, it's always a good idea because most of the time they end up converting them over anyway. So File, Save As, PNG. Yeah, we'll do PNG. And I want to save this in, let's see, Speed, YouTube. Reproduce at FNAF. And do we have a textures folder? No. You know what? Let's make a textures folder. You already have one called textures? Where? Oh, right there. Jeez, I'm blind. Okay, textures spiderweb. Enter. Okay. Now the program we're going to open up is this one right here, bitmap to material. Now, I am in no way good at using this yet. This is a program I've only used maybe 3 or 4 times professionally. So please bear with me on this one. Don't use what I do as written law. There are probably much better ways to do what I'm about to do here. All right, so let's grab our spider web and drag it on in like it says. We're going to do that as a height map. The reason we're doing it as a height map, well, actually, we're going to do it as 2 things. It's a height map and also our main map. Whoa, you see that? All right, so let's take a look down here at our 3D stuff going on. So this is the actual texture we're dealing with. And if we kind of look at it, You'll notice it has some bump priorities. Bump priorities, what does that even mean? It's just got some bump map going on, or normal map. It depends on what generation you were born in, who calls it what, when you're dealing with bump maps or normal dot some number maps or something else. So let's see if we can't make this a little bit better for what we're dealing with. So we've got the different maps that are being generated: roughness, metallic, normal, height, and ambient occlusion. And we need to edit these values as best as possible over here, I think. So there's global, which apparently doesn't have a whole lot to do with height. I would like to manipulate the height parameter, but I'm not seeing anything that directly has anything to do. There's ambient occlusion, metallic, roughness, glossiness, diffuse detail. I mean, what if we start messing with... I mean, you can see what's happening right there. That's ambient occlusion right there. I'm going to get rid of ambient occlusion. Wait. Well, that looks better. I think that increased it to 100%. Either way, cancellation. Let's 0. Let's push this all the way up to the top. And let's just make it look good for us. All right? Screw what it looks like. Like cancellation, that's not good. Let's see, saturation. That doesn't matter so much for what we're doing right now. Contrast, bad, better, meh. And hue shift doesn't matter for what we're doing. Saturation, let's make that 0 because we actually don't want color on something like this. You can see, though, that the height map is still being calculated independent of everything else. So let's look under relief. I think this is what it's doing. So that's... low frequencies are going there. Maybe there. And high there. Normal intensity. So that's high, that's low, mid-ground, somewhere around there, less probably. And relief pinch. Whoa, that looks horrible. Keep that low. See, that's funny. It says from height input, but I don't have any. Illuminance, let's see, luminance, base, slope, make it tile, global. Let's do make it tile. And edges. Whoa, look at that. Sometimes this program is amazing. Oh, okay. This program is always amazing. But right now, it's doing some awesome stuff. So let's do random really quick and just see what happens. Whoa, too much. Let's do quincunx. I guess that's how you spell that or say that. Quincunx. Actually, I really like how that looks. And I can adapt that. I mean, that's perfect. It's got webs everywhere, doesn't it? Okay, so let's work on this now. Let's export this thing out. So File, Export, Export as bitmap. And what do we need to export out? We don't need a... I mean, technically we do need opacity. No, we don't. Wait. I mean, technically this is an alpha map, so I don't need any of that stuff. I just need a couple things. So, you know what? I think I screwed up by not making this have an opacity channel. Because here we have everything but opacity. Is there a way for me to change that? Alright, so it seems I've made a bit of a mistake because I was bringing this in as an alpha channel. and I brought it into that bitmap to materials thing, everything got kind of screwed up. So it would be better off if I ended up getting rid of the background and just leaving the foreground, I guess, inside of Photoshop. And then we're going to kind of hope that everything I did doesn't completely fall apart. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to pick a value that's at 100, which is halfway between everything, and we're going to hit that, and I'm going to hit that, and Control I to invert, and we're going to, of course, double-click this, and go to, let's see, you know what, that's fine. Let's just let it be what it is. That's the way things are. I'm going to go to Save As, PNG. We'll see if it's bad in a moment. Instead of spiderweb, let's call it spiderweb 2. Enter. Okay. Coming back over here, we've got the old spiderweb in here. Let's see if we can, those are outputs. So let's go to Open and back to my desktop. So let's go back to Open and the project I'm in. So here we are inside the textures folder. Let's go ahead and grab spiderweb 2. It's saying it cannot be opened for some reason. Let's find out why. Probably has something to do with Photoshop. So let's try that real quick. So that's the file. File save as PNG. Do 3. It says options. Let's see. How do I get the options open? Warning. Yes, that's fine. Save. Yes. Okay. Minimize that. If I got to, I'll bring in a different file format. That's fine. So go to File. Open. Once again, Web 2 could not be brought in. Let's try to bring it in manually. So we'll do File New. And once again, you're seeing the same, you're seeing exactly what it would be like if someone without prior knowledge tried to use this program. Let's bring this in as a main input. And it looks like that worked out just fine. And the alpha channel is there. Now, what am I looking at here? So let's go to global. And what I want to do is probably make this diffuse, luminous, luminosity. I definitely want it to be brighter. Hue doesn't matter, but contrast, let's see. Contrast is going to make less of the web show up. Now, diffuse details. What about that? That does brighten it up a little bit. Very, very lightly. I'm going to go with luminous or luminosity. Okay. Take a quick look at this. Zoom on out. Okay. This isn't so bad. Let's go to Environment, Edit. And looks like we're on something dark here. Let's make that bright instead so I get a better idea of what this is going to look like. Not that it's going to be dark or bright in that room, but that's what it's going to look like for the most part, unless we shine a light on that, and I'm not quite sure if we are going to do that. So we'll have to see. So let's go to Export as Bitmap. And what I really want out of this entire thing is the base color. Roughness and metallic don't quite matter for something like this. That's going to happen later. You know what? Let's get just the opacity. We will do this as a PNG. Folder is FNAF. Let's see, textures. Do I have a bitmap to material folder? No. So let's do B2M, enter. new folder and call this spiderweb. And just, yeah, that's all we need to do. So I've got base color. I mean, the metallic doesn't matter at the moment. I don't know the difference between the diffuse and the base color at this point, because they should be the same thing. I'm going to get rid of base color, actually. So just diffuse, normal, bump. Bump map is for Maya. Let's do normal and opacity. Export. Close that. Let's go to the folder for it. So FNAF. Okay, so I put it under the wrong thing. B2M should come out. So let's right click, cut. Go to FNAF. Right click, paste. There it is, spiderweb. So we've got our diffuse channel, which is completely gray. So that is definitely not any good. Our normal and our opacity map. So diffuse did nothing for us. So let's go to export again. We're going to turn off everything except for base color, which should just be white. Export, rendering output. All is good, close, and let's go back. All right, so let's take that and put it under our new folder, B2M, and put it here. And there we can actually see color, finally. We'll delete the diffuse map. That did nothing for us. And now we actually have enough components to create or craft a material. So let's... You want to try to make a material, everyone? Why not, right? Sounds like fun. So let's go to Substance Designer 5 and, you know, merge these things together and make a material. All right, what do we got here? I know I don't have roughness. What do I have? I've got normal, I've got a base color. I do not have metallic at this time. None of those matter at all anyway. We do have these two components. So let's go ahead and import the necessary items in. So let's go to our folders and bring them over. All right, so let's grab these and let's do import. I'm going to import all of them. Not in 8 bits. What? Yeah, I don't need them to be editable. I just need them to be brought in. Okay, so now that we've got all of our images in here, why don't we go ahead and hook you up to you. That's our normal map. Whoa, that looks sparkly, doesn't it? You are diffuse, and where, let's see, where's height? So looking at this, I need to make this the alpha map. Now, how do I do that? That's the question. So that replaces that other object. Now, is there a way of adding a node alpha? Nope, that's not it. Let's come over here and see alpha. No, transparency. I found a node called RBGA merge, and I took the grayscale or the diffuse map and I put that in the RGB channels, and I put the alpha here into the alpha channel, and then I put them into the base color. And I'm hoping from the image here that that means that we're going to end up with something that looks, you know, proper at the end of the day down here. Now, I don't have an alpha channel right here, and I think that has something to do with the fact that under pretty much any of the settings I see, I can't find one that has anything to do with allowing us to visualize an alpha channel, which, by the way, seems ridiculous given the fact that the rest of the, I mean, everything they do inside of here has that ability. But we'll go with it, I suppose, and make it work for us in some way. So why don't we go ahead and push this out? So File, let's see. So let's first, I guess, right-click on this, go to Save As, and let's see. That's not what I want. I want to go under the folder. Let's make a new folder called just Saves under B2M. Not Saves, but Saves. Go under here, and let's just call this Spiderweb. enter. There we are. Perfect. Let's right click and go to export this file type. And under there, let's just do SBRs, SBA, or SBSARs. And call this spiderweb, save. That looks fine. Okay. Let's jump back into Substance Painter now. There we are. Let's bring that in for us to work with. So file and import resource, add resource, and let's go to FNAF, V2M, spars. There we go. Let's just call that a texture for now. Let's go under the web, move this under the web, or in the web, something. So that's the web right there. Now we don't have an alpha channel, and we need to go under, let's see, display, viewer settings, PBR, and we need one with an alpha channel. Although the alpha channel does not need to be anything more than an alpha test. So let's do that. Now we can go back to texture settings, and we can add that into our layers. So alpha, opacity. And for that layer, we can add opacity now. Now it's not bringing in the opacity layer. And I believe what's happened here is we did not get one from the file that we exported out from this one right here. Or I should say from this one right here, which then became this one right here, along this part right here. So that's alpha right there going into there. So let's see, RGBA 32-bit is what I want. Let's try this again. Or you know what? You know what, screw that. Let's just go under here and save this out. So file, save as, PNG. You know, when something doesn't work, just make it work. Force it. So let's see here. Spiderweb alpha. Enter. Okay. Oh, whoops. Wrong key. All right. We're not going to let this beat me. We're going to come back over here now and go to File. And let's see. Import resource. Add resource. Go under Textures and Alpha. Undefined should be Alpha. And bring this to the shelf because I might want this in the future. There it is. We're going to put this under our opacity map. Let's actually nuke everything. I'm going to get rid of everything in this layer. Create a new layer. I'm going to grab, let's see, what is this, under alpha? I'm going to put it under base color, I think, just to see what happens. So that's what we get under base color. Now we have an opacity, L4. There's an opacity layer right there. I'm going to grab this and drag it in there as well. So now the spider web has an opacity layer. I'm going to get rid of a few of these really quick. And what we can see here is the fact that it's not completely transparent. We've got sort of a partial transparency around the edges, but nowhere else. And that seems to be a product of, well, I'm guessing it's this, the underlying layer. So what I will do to fix that is Shift F5, enter, and make the entire underlying layer white. And this is now my transparency layer. So the two of them combined should hopefully work properly. Let's go back to File. Actually, will this work? I'm trying to think how this utilizes transparencies. And I don't think it will work. I think what I need to do is undo that and let's create a new layer. Shift F5, okay, and we'll fill that with black for the moment. So that's our two-tone color right there. Let's go to File, Save As, Spiderweb. And spiderweb, oh, you know what? There's a spiderweb PNG right there, and I bet you that's going to do the job for us. So why don't we use that instead? So File, Import, add resource. Where's spiderweb? There we go. Undefined. You're alpha, please. And why not? Yes, please. So we're now under alpha again. I'm going to stick that under opacity there. And now we have something that I was actually looking for, which is better, a better alpha map than what we had before. Now, we've got these ridges going on here and there, which I'm not in love with. I'm trying to think about what we're going to see in the game world. That's with normals on. And we do have a normal layer for that particular material, don't we? So for right now, I think I'm going to let that slide at the moment. I reserve the option of coming back in the future and tweaking that, especially right here. I might take the polygon and extrude it outwards so that the spider web actually went further out and in, or, you know, somewhere along this line and cuts it in half. Now, what I don't like is the grit and grime on the speaker itself. So let's mess with that. So that's going to be, let's see, the underlying layer, this one. So we need to mess with that. So technical parameters, and this is the height range. So let's see what we got to deal with. So this is the position, so 0.5. So if nothing's happening there because it doesn't have a height map right there. So let's add height to this whole thing. And I want to put 0.5, and we're going to push that to the bottom. Height didn't do anything. It's the normal intensity that does it for this, and that's much better. I'm still not in love with the rust on the bottom. I want dust, something collecting on the top. This, for instance. So let's go back here and go to the paint layer and go to our alphas really quick and see what we have to work with. Let's do large, actually, so I know what I'm dealing with. Let's do dust, blurry, dense, make it bigger, and just kind of, what am I at? I'm black. I want to be white. And what I'm going to do here is just at the corners, I'm going to add a little bit. I'm going to come back and completely get rid of 90% of it in just a second. So you need to be smaller now, and you go there, 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 there. Here's some dust that's collected on the top, and here's some dust that is also collected across the top. Now, we're going to go to a different dirt, cloudy, or smudge, whatever, something else. That's all that matters here. And we're going to start getting rid of things. So we're going to go black, and you know what? Let's do this one. And let's increase that density quite a bit. There we go, a lot better. So now we're just going to get rid of it a little bit. I want this to be incredibly subtle. Just a little bit of dust at the tops. Nothing too extreme. I know the rust is kind of extreme, but rust is extreme. When you have rust somewhere, that's going to show up. Dust, on the other hand, dust is one of those things that unless you bring out a glove and run it across the side of something, you won't necessarily notice unless it's been, 40, 50 years. So there we go. Just a little bit of dust. And we are actually, you know what? I'm going to go under the paint. I'm going to do the same thing for the rust. Rust is a little bit too defined. I'm going to make that a little bit less defined, I think. All right, and you know what? I'm actually going to go under the aluminum again, and now that my eyes have adjusted, we're going to bring that down a shade even more so. A little bit more. There we go. I only want a little bit of difference, just enough so you can see the difference between those. All right, save. And let's export these. So export textures, we're going to go over here. Security room, speaker, web, rough PBR. We want this to be Unity 5 metallic. And let's find out where we're going to export them to. So let's go under FNAF, Substance Painter Textures, New folder, and just call this speaker_web. Select it. Now, these are a bit large. I'm going to go with 1024 by 1024. They could be smaller even, I think, but we're going to hit export. And actually, yeah, we'll do that. Open the folder, go back to textures, grab it, and we're going to bring it into our Unity project. So FNAF, A Night at Georgie's, Assets, and let's find materials, no, level, security room, textures, and paste this in here. All right, in the next video, we're going to pick up and actually take a look at this entire thing first inside of Unity to see what we're dealing with. I got a little bit of a thing right there, but you know what? That's a smudge. That's someone who brushed their heel of their soul against the speaker, and we'll make a whole backstory about that particular little mark. It's fine. All right, anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. So long, goodbye.